Hi, everybody. Dave Robbins here again. I upped the schedule on doing the report. Last week I was talking about on the contract. Let me turn it up so you can see it. On the contract, I was talking about HOAs last week, and I was going to wait till Friday of next week, but there's so much involved that I think it's best I just go ahead and every week try to give you a little bit more, another snippet, you might say, of contract and why you really need to work with your broker because he's going to save you a lot of time, or she. I should say that. Anyway, this real quick, I always like to start out with a few statistics. Everyone likes statistics. New listings in the last 7 days, 329. So we're up from what we were 7 days ago. A decrease in the listing prices, 369. And that also is an increase from last week. So that's pretty amazing. Number of homes that have closed in the last week, 239. All listings that are currently active on the MLS as of an hour ago. And that includes, again, commercial as well as your investment properties. You're looking at 2,933 properties. And again, that's through our whole MLS system. And then getting back down to all of our single family homes, everything that's listed right now, 2,416. And again, that's down from 7 days ago. And then single family homes in Colorado Springs only, 1,257. Again, that number is down from what it was 7 days ago. So there's some people that are getting their home sold, getting their property sold. That's what that indication is. Okay, let's get into this. So as I mentioned, I'm going to go through the calendar of events every time I do one of these videos so that we can get a little information on what your broker is to do for you, should be doing. Seller's property disclosure. Now, this is a little bit different. What this is 10 years ago. There's a little difference in this. Now there's 6 pages to this. I just did double page, so there's on this. But they change it every time. Attorneys love to get in and change things on a yearly basis. Um, Currently, we now have, again, it's still 6 pages, but it's changed. It used to say where we could have yes, no, don't know, or just NA. Now it's yes, or make comments in regards to the property or what it is that's being inspected. When you write a contract, an offer, or when you receive an offer, if you're the seller, um, they're going to want to go through all of this. I'll name off a few of these items that are on here because you can imagine it's absolutely everything from top to bottom. So you have your structural issues. You got to talk about moisture, exterior walls, and then cracking. Believe it or not, in a physical report, oh, by the way, I do have a copy of, I'm not this report, for instance, is 50 pages long. It entails everything that I'm talking about here. So it depends on who you hire. And by the way, the broker that is working with you, if you're a buyer, will have a list of contractors that you can talk to and see who will give you the best situation and do a good job. You really need to get a good inspector. Um, I have seen some bad ones in there before, and it it hurts you in the long run. So anyway, getting back to this roof. So we'll talk about all the roof problems. I had one time where in the roofing system, uh, inside we had the trusses that were actually broken, had to be taken care of. Wow. So getting a contractor and the right people for that. Not everyone knows, but that's where we come in. That's what we get paid for. All right, moving on. Appliances, well, we all have those, so you have everything in the kitchen. And we'll also get into the fact that your water heater, your furnace, all that has to be inspected. Every door, every window, every outlet in your house, all of that is checked. Also, something you might want to consider is if you've got an older house, you're going to want to probably go ahead and check your CO2 and smoke detectors. If they're 10 years old, they're going to get deemed on that because the inspectors now are really weighing heavy on that little item. And while it doesn't seem like it's real important, it really is. Um, People die from that every year from the carbon monoxide. Not a good idea. So check those out. Make sure they have good batteries in it so there's no issues down the road. Electrical, I was mentioning that a while ago. So they should be checking all the electrical, not only the panels at each outlet. In your older homes, you'll have your Federal Pacific panels, and a lot of times people will say, no, we need that taken care of. Some people they go in and they will have the circuit breakers actually get tightened up because once everything's nice and tight in a Federal Pacific panel, normally it's going to work well. They always tell you that if you have a Federal Pacific panel, that, oh my gosh, your house is going to burn down. Now, it hasn't since 1952, but now it is suddenly, just because they said so. So, you got to make sure you have a good electrician, gets everything taken care of. If you feel like it's safer to go ahead and replace that panel, you can do so. Obviously, you want to get 2 or 3 different bids for that because everyone's a little bit different on these contractor bids. All right, mechanical. Again, getting back on that. Overhead doors. Oh, yes, that's another one. Overhead doors, the springs can go on those. Sometimes they don't have the little eyes on the bottom, the lights, so that if something was to cross the path of that door while it's coming down, it would automatically go back up. The whole idea is a safety issue so that little kids don't get crushed in the weight of a door. Because those doors actually, when you release them, and if you're trying to pull them up or down on your own, they're really heavy. So those automatic sensors are really important to have functioning properly. Okay, ventilation systems, heating, air conditioning, evaporator, all of those. Man, there's just so many things to look at on an inspection. By the way, I'm going to get into the well and septic when I get to the end of this as well, because not every property has um, or is on city utilities or a municipal system that supplies the water. So anyway, that's another one. Are you a quasi governmental property agents? It's just there is so much on here, it's not even funny. Anyway, there are 6 pages total at least on the inspection. Once the inspection is done and the buyer comes back with his report or the seller has to get a copy. We like to have the seller get a copy so we know what's going on. Because what happens is if when there's an issue, then we end up with what's called, and I got the wrong document here, an inspection objection notice. Now, this is an older one, so I was able to use it. This is almost 10 years old, but it's inspection objection notice, and it'll list everything that the buyer is worried about or really would like to have taken care of before they go and close on the house. It is up to the seller to say, I'll do them all. I'll do some of these items, but I won't do any. And then the buyer can say yay or nay and work it from there. After the inspection objection is resolved via an inspection resolution, where it's stating what the seller will do, both parties sign all of these documents and they become a record, okay? Um, then the next thing is that the broker working for the buyer is going to help the buyer locate contractors to take care or I wouldn't say take care of, just to get ideas for costs. The seller is going to get their own contractors and do the repairs that he needs. Now, if that seller doesn't know the contractor, have somebody for that, for instance, not everyone has a contractor. Well, yeah, I know how to go and fix the broken trusses. Um, that's when he asks his broker, who normally has contacts in all of these things, to be able to help out and get bids. You want to get bids for that. The other thing that you want to do is that the broker needs to make sure he coordinates with the seller for those repairs to be done, and then get copies of the paid invoice. Now, sometimes the bids are more than the seller has the ability to pay right up front. Talk to your title company and the contractor and see about having that paid at time of closing out of your closing costs. As a buyer's agent, you want to be able to verify that the work has been done. You get a copy of the paid invoices. And you may even want it, depending on the type of repair that it is, schedule a time to go back and verify the work that's been done, just to be checking on it. I know that some people will want to use that as their walkthrough prior to closing, or may not. But I would probably want to try to keep that separate because it has to do with the results um, of the inspection itself. So now I mentioned earlier well and septic. Not every property has or is on city utilities. And if you have a property, because we do have areas here in Colorado Springs that there are counties surrounded by city and they are on well and septic. And if they're an older property, now the septic systems have changed, the requirements have changed greatly. Um, Not only do you have to make sure that the leach field is working properly, but the septic tank itself is large enough and new. And you may end up having the seller to go back and replace that whole item. And that's not cheap at all. Pretty interesting. And a well, of course, that is the well flow, the amount of water flowing from that well and how long it's been doing that make sure it's enough to take care of the family. So those are the things that we have as of today. Now, next week, this is a real quick one for you. So it's quick on this part, but it's not quick when it comes down to the contracting and going through all of this. The inspection you want to get done as soon as you are under contract. You want to get your inspector in there and get it done ASAP. That way you can get done with this because some of these repairs you never know. It can take a long time and you're pushing the closing date. So that's really important. The next item on our calendar of events for this next week is going to be, and it's a good one, loan and credit approval. Oh my goodness. After that will be appraisal. But right now next week we'll talk a little bit about the loan and the loan process and what you do on that. So that is all for now. If you are interested in thinking about getting involved in buying a home this year, now is probably as good a time as any because of all the things that are going on in our economy. As a matter of fact, I just saw some information on the news that the feds are selling a plethora of federal buildings up in Denver. So they're emptying them out and they're going to put them on the market. I think there's something like 12 or 15 buildings. That's quite a bit. A lot of changes going on in our nation. So now's a good time. Interest rates are down today. I forgot to get all of those numbers for you guys, but we'll have them for you the next time around. Thanks a lot. Give me a call. You've got my number on the screen, 719-332-9967. Bye now.